college football notes, including this about Washington State. This from Brett McMurphy, Washington State President Craig Smoak, saying that the athletics will have their athletic department will have temporary freeze on all current and future vacant positions until further review, as well as a pause on non-essential travel, purchases, and new professional development because of significant decrease in Pac-12 revenue distribution as a result of overpayments from one of the conference media members. That's the Comcast $50 million. Relocation of the Pac-12 headquarters out of San Francisco exceeded budget projections. Additionally, Washington State University projects the Cougar Athletics exceeded its expenses or expenditures for the year due to inadequate documentation of revenues and expenses. That's not the first time this has ever happened, but it's interesting because Curt Schultz has been very much open about his thoughts about the Pac-12 and the future and the commissioner and the media deal. But they're not the only one that's ever had a freeze on this, and not just because it was 1 year of COVID or two, but also because sometimes things, well, you gotta tighten the belt.
Yeah, this is interesting to me because I'm wondering how many other, and particularly the Pac-12, how many athletic departments are tightening the belt because of this? How many are they were able to come through it, and what that means in regards to projecting out what their future earnings are going to be and where this money comes from. And do you have to take do you project it as you take this hit all at one time, or do you spread it out over some time? I don't know. I'm not in charge of finances anywhere, so it's not like I could tell you that definitively, but this is telling about the state of college athletics right now, and the reason that there is, especially a couple years off of the pandemic year, in the Pac-12 where they only played, 4 or 5 games in that season, that there are some economic shortfalls that they're just now starting to feel.
Yeah, I think there was a good number of people who all kind of paused on dunking on the Pac-12, which was good to see, and being clear on what the story is reporting. It's not reporting the downfall of the Pac, although if you want to sit there and take that as another sign that things aren't going great, then you can by all means do that. But I think this is more a story about Washington State than it is about the Pac-12. Would y'all agree with that? This is about them, and this is who he's talking about. And it's just interesting because, here he was a couple of weeks ago in the sit-down interview with the Regent and talking about the new TV deal and, talking about all of the different things that are going on. You wouldn't have gotten a sense that this was right around the corner in watching that. And he was an enjoyable guy to listen to, and I got some, interesting tidbits from it that we talked about a little bit on this show about just sort of where the Pac was and in the midst of everything. And then here we are 2 weeks later, and they're in a world of trouble. No, not in a world of trouble, but they're in some trouble, as far as the pocketbook goes. There's no doubt about it. You don't do this if you're not. So, yeah, very interesting story to drop, and I wonder what other ramifications come from this and what else, could be coming down the pipeline as far as Wazoo goes. But, yeah, not the best look, certainly, and, not a great look overall for the Pac-12, and everybody's already kind of picking at you anyways, and this is another thing they can kind of pick at you for. And quite frankly, another thing where – just goes to show you how important that TV deal is going to be. You can dismiss it all you want to and be like, oh, it's going to be fine. It doesn't matter when it's done and blah, 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 all this stuff. But, I don't know. This is a sign to me that thing's going to be pretty important because, this is that whammy of the overpayments that became known to, a few months ago. And we talked a bit about that and just the COVID years you mentioned and the uncertainty over a TV deal. A lot of things adding up to be kind of a triple whammy for Washington State. So something to keep an eye on for sure.
All right, when we come back, Grayson Gruden